What's up, y'all? It's Dante and Chantel, my beautiful wife. Man, we're so excited about this episode. This is gonna be a quick one, I feel like. But babe, you're also definitely tired. Chantel is a morning person. I am a night person.
It is 9:11.
I feel like this is gonna be one of those things that in about 10 years it's gonna be disproven. Like nobody's a morning or a night person. You're just like in the own constraints of your mind.
I'm pretty sure it's research based that there's.
Yeah, I need that research because I need to put that research in your face when you're trying to wake me up in the morning.
I need to put it in your face when you're trying to make me record a podcast at 9 p.m.
Yeah, that's true. Well, this is our portion of being married to someone who functions at different times of the day. So
we also say it's going to be a short episode, but we are two of the most long-winded people.
We are, but you're one of the most disciplined people that I know. So I'm just going to put a period there.
I also love talking.
You do. Yeah, we're just long-winded. Let me stop trying to cover us. Okay, do we want to hop right into this?
Let's do it.
You want to do it? Okay.
Find your people.
This episode is finding your people. How do you find your people? Who are your people? That community sense of I'm with my tribe. I'm running with the ones that have chosen me, and I love the people that I'm opening up with and the people that believe in my life and see me on my best and my worst day. Some of you might not have that right now.
And I think it can be a kind of like catchphrase, pop culture, build your community, find your friends,
right,
kind of a thing. But it is for myself personally, my friendship groups have been a lifeline in the last few years. And funny thing is when we first got married, you were afraid that I wasn't going to have friends, or what was it?
Yeah, I was nervous that you weren't going to have any friends. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, because you weren't just an introvert, because I think a lot of times people can hide behind personality types.
I was a self-protected introvert.
Yeah, you didn't want people around.
No.
I
used to pride myself on the fact that I finished an entire degree, a 4-year degree, and I made not one friend.
Yeah.
I used to wear it as a badge of honor. Like, I got a 4.0 GPA and I made no friends. And people would be like, wow, that's so sad.
Yeah. What?
But to that point, I actually got up at the end of my 4 years being with these people for 4 years in my capstone class. And I apologized. And I said, I'm so sorry that many of you made efforts to be my friend and connect, and I pushed you away.
Yeah.
And it was out of my own self-protection.
Yeah. You what's a capstone class?
A capstone class is the class that you take at the end of a degree that kind of pulls everything together.
Gotcha. Oh, it's like a stone that caps?
I guess.
Oh, wow. They're really literal with that term. Well, I was someone who I feel like I grew up around brothers as in like not like biological, but like other guys who we ran close together, friends of mine who felt like family. And then coming out here, the same thing, friends of mine who felt like family. Mm-hmm. But then there was times in my life where I had the people, but I wasn't pulling on them mm-hmm. in the times that I needed to, whether that be
pulling on them how?
When I'm in a hard space that, oh no, I got it all together. I'm good. I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to open up. I don't want people to see me at a weak point. I just want people to see the good parts of Dante.
Yeah.
And that self-protection that will cause you to think that nobody actually wants to see you at your worst, mm-hmm. which is not true. But sometimes your experience can say, oh, well, that happened to you once, so will it happen to you again? And you never open up to people.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot more complex than that.
Or you don't know how to open up to people.
You never learn how. Yeah. But we want to just give a couple of tips on finding your people. And throughout our podcast, I think this is going to be something that we hit on because it's a part of our journey. It's a part of our everyday life.
Part.
A really big, yeah. And so we're always going to be like talking about this, but we thought like, oh, why don't we just give just some, quick tips or points or whatever you want to call it on finding your people. And maybe this will spark some ideas or encourage you with where you're at, or just be something that you can kind of start imagining for the next season of your life, man. Who are my people? Are there people around me? How can I start building that? So can we start with like the first, thought that we had?
So we have 3 tips. Tip number 1 is don't look for people that look like you. And I can speak to this one. I think a lot of times we try and find in a friendship someone that looks like us. And they look like us, they think like us, they have the same beliefs and opinions and whatever. And we look for those people because birds of a feather flock together. It's like, have you ever heard that saying?
Yeah, I saw it in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Birds of a feather flock together.
It's Duck, Duck, Goose.
Yeah. I think humans have this natural tendency to cling to what they know.
Yes.
And I don't think
Because
that's a bad thing. It's predictable and it's safe.
It's very
I don't
safe.
think that's a bad thing, but if that's overdone, then it can hinder us from actually seeing the people that are in front of us. And instead of looking at our differences, looking at maybe that person has something that I need.
Right.
Maybe I have something that person needs. And I think a lot of time when we're talking about finding our people, if we were to be honest with ourselves, what we're really saying is, who can do for me?
Yeah.
We're not thinking, man, what can I add to people?
Mm-hmm.
When we're thinking about finding our people, we're thinking about, man, I need friends.
Yeah.
We're not thinking, man, who can I be a friend to?
Mm-hmm.
And so if everybody's thinking, I need a friend, not who can I be a friend to, who gonna be friends?
That's true.
Anyways, yeah.
I was just gonna share a story about my mom group.
Yes, yeah.
Because
I love your mom group.
I love my mom group.
It's transformed in so many ways over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking to somebody about your mom group and just the progression of all of y'all being pregnant at first, having a picture with just your bellies. Is about 6 of y'all at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it changes to, it was like basically it could have been a whole show. I told them they should like let me film them and like
you wanted to film a show called Mom Group.
I wanted to film a show called Mom Group and do a little pitch. And because the progression was so amazing. Like every season was a season for a show.
Yes.
You have the picture with just y'all's stomachs, the bellies, everybody's first child. Then you have the first kids that are all babies on the ground, or they're all trying to sit up and some of them are crying. And then the next picture is they're a little bit older and some of y'all have little bellies and y'all pregnant for the second time. Mm-hmm. Then you have another picture where there's a toddler and a little sibling for each.
So now there's five of us, and there's 10 kids in the photo at the time.
And then it went to 3.
Yeah.
And there's
one of us is on 3 right now.
Yeah. There's like 2 kids and bellies.
Yeah. So
the progression of your mom group was fun for me to watch from the outside.
Mm-hmm. And from the inside, it was, we had just finished ministry school, just gotten married, just gotten accidentally pregnant, and I didn't have any solid community yet. We had decided to build our marriage in Redding, meaning we weren't going back to Florida where he's from, and we weren't going back to Canada where I'm from. And so and a lot of our friends at the time left. The friends we had built and were close with in ministry school.
Yep, 2 of my groomsmen, 2 of my best friends, guys who I done life with in school of ministry, Tim and Carlos. Tim is this white short dude from Detroit, and Los is this Hispanic, beautiful man from LA. He actually just got married this past year. Man, we turned up at his wedding too. Good Lord. Like turned up, like not drinks, but we were dancing our lives away just so that people, for the people in the back. But Tim and Los, they left. I think they left like the day that I was heading on our honeymoon or something like that. They left. And
so everybody left. Everybody flew the coop, and it was just us. We were newly pregnant, and I didn't have girlfriends yet. I mean, I had friends that were girls, but I didn't have my people. And so a friend of mine, Britt, we've talked about her on this podcast before, but she knew another friend who was pregnant, who also knew another friend who was pregnant, who knew a friend who was pregnant, who knew a friend who was pregnant. So through association, being at the church, somebody knew someone that was pregnant, and I think it was Britt who had the idea of, let's just all get together at a restaurant, and we're all pregnant. We all love Jesus. Those were the two things we had in common. And so we meet at this restaurant. 3 or 4 of the girls I hadn't even met yet. One of them I had just met once. And the only thing in common that we had was that we loved the Lord and we were pregnant with our first kid.
Yeah.
And long story short, that breakfast turned into a coffee every other week. We would meet up. We would talk about pregnancy symptoms. What are you feeling? Like, you got any contractions yet? And then over a few months, we all started having our babies, and we would bring meal trains to each other, and we would start meal trains for each other. We would do all the things. And then it eventually turned into a weekly, every single Tuesday morning, we would go to someone's house. We would all make food, and we would just bring our babies, and we would just talk for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And we were like, the thing is that we didn't know each other. Like, I knew my one friend Britt, but she's the only person that I knew. So we were all strangers, essentially. And we built a friendship on a similar season, but all of us were very, very different.
So you're telling me you found one common denominator, and you said, that's enough.
That's enough.
That's enough for us to build off of.
Yeah.
We got a lot of different. You didn't even really know your differences because y'all didn't even know each
We
other.
didn't know each other.
But you said we got one common. Let's focus on that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we gave our lives to each other, and it took time. Like, there's so many stories I could tell about building trust and deepening. There was this one time when we had been together, our mom group, for like, I think a year or maybe something like that. But we started doing these moms night outs, and so we would have our mom group Tuesday mornings, and then once a month we would go out without our kids just for dinner.
Yeah.
And I remember this one night I was telling Dante, like, man, all we ever do is like just talk about our kids, and we talk about the same thing that we do at mom group, just without our kids there.
Yeah.
And he was like, if you want vulnerability in your group, then why don't you be the first one to show it?
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that you remembered that.
Oh,
I remember that conversation.
That's one of the defining moments for me in the beginning of,
because I remember you
mom
coming
group.
back after that.
It was so, so we were at this Mexican restaurant, and we started talking about our babies, like sleep routines, all that stuff. And then I was like, I could either sit here and not enjoy talking about my kids like I do every day, or I could take the first step and decide to just show up and be vulnerable and see what happens. And so I just shared something, I think something that we got an argument about or something. It was something about marriage.
You just use me and my, okay.
I just opened up a little bit about my marriage, and it was like an instant shift. And then so-and-so started talking about her marriage. So-and-so started talking about hers, and everybody just opened up, and we got to see each other in a completely different space than we had ever seen each other in before.
Yeah.
And I got home from that night, and it felt like a shift happened in our mom group. And it was because I wasn't just sitting around waiting for the thing that I wanted to happen in my friendships to happen.
Yeah.
I decided that if I want to see this happen in my friendship, then I'm going to be the one to step out first.
Yeah. And I think there is that, that space of like, man, am I going to sit around, or am I going to make some efforts?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the big misconception of church culture is, and this is just my opinion, but you assume that, because it's a church community, then man, I'm just going to go in, and then people are going to flock to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to find a group, and I'm going to find my people quick, and that's going to be it, man. And there's going to be nothing on my end. It's just going to happen for me.
Right.
And I think that is you're setting yourself up to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us have experienced that, and we're like, man, I tried it. I tried it. I went into the space. Nobody talked to me, or no one came up to me, or I tried to meet into a group for a month, or tried to go to this thing for a month, and we didn't find a person. Because I think a lot of times too, you can have a bigger group, and you're like, all right, we're all gonna, get together and try to do this thing, but nobody's being vulnerable.
Right. You're just hanging.
Yeah. Cause that took courage for you in this group of women, especially, even talking about men being vulnerable. I feel like now that is starting to shift. We're seeing like so many men actually like moving away from toxic masculinity and being able to embrace what it means to be a man, and that includes vulnerability and me sharing what's going on in my life. And I don't always have to be strong, even though I'm a family man and I'm strong for my family, that I actually get to open up and let people see me.
And you do such a great job of that with your
Thanks,
friends.
baby.
I've seen it over and over and over again of you having conversations, you stepping outside of the house, going on a walk because you're processing something with a friend.
Yeah. I have certain friends where there's not a thought in my head that they don't know that I'm thinking. And I do that because I think a lot of times.
We're already in point 2 now.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, wait, point 1, and then I want you to keep on this story. Point 1 is don't look for people that look like you.
Yeah. Which I wanted to say one other thing.
Okay,
about
then
that.
say it.
Okay. With the don't look for other people that don't. Here's the thing. You might find some people that look like you and you're going to cling to them and talk to them. We're not saying that, like, we're saying don't use differences to cause you to not connect.
Right.
That's what we're saying. Don't look for ways to disregard people. So many of us are canceling people in our minds before we ever actually sit down and have coffee with them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we're saying, man, that might be the person that you end up being a lifelong friend with. Maybe.
I have become such a richer, bigger person by being friends with people who don't think like me, because they challenge the way that I've just thought for years.
Our best friends.
Best friends.
I never thought I'd be best friends with Rory Heller. He knows this. He never thought he'd be best friends with me. We never. He's one of my closest brothers, and we have completely different backgrounds, completely different upbringings, different things that we've overcome in life, different like experience. Like he has all girls, I have all boys at the moment, unless we have a girl next. I don't know yet, but the way that we've done brotherhood together has been so life-giving.
Yeah.
And he's one of those people, you know. I could list off a bunch of guys, but I'm not going to do that just in case I miss somebody and then they call me and say, bro, we got to have a vulnerable conversation. So if you know who you are, you know who you are. And I'm talking about all of y'all. Yeah. So, but
point number 2.
Point number 2. Go ahead.
Keep short accounts with your friends.
Yes.
What does it look like to keep short accounts?
That was the thing that I was saying, that there's not thoughts in my head that my friends don't know that I'm having in my head, that they actually see me on my best and my worst day, and I'm making sure that I'm not disconnecting from them.
Yeah.
You know, if they say something that hurts, or they say something that feels like, man, I didn't really understand that. I'm not going to pretend like I have it all together and that, you know, I'm not the sensitive one. I'm like, hey, my goal is connection, and any conflict that I'm having. And this is a lot of times people don't have this as a belief. Like, actually, my goal is always to connect. My goal is to see you and you see me. And if we can if we can remember to have that goal, then we can work through anything. Mm-hmm. There's nothing that is too big that we actually can't work through and figure out. And this is as you're starting to go deep with people and people are starting to get to know you. Like, don't expect for it to just be this smooth road without you guys misunderstanding each other, not seeing eye to eye, having disagreements, and things that you don't feel like is, you know, we're getting on the same page about. Yeah. Like, that takes time. Like, you're like, man, I'm on page 5A. Man, I'm on page 6, 7. Well, we got to go through a lot of different sub pages, but
what is this book reference?
I guess what I'm saying is that working towards connection can sometimes be a journey, but the power of choosing, hey, I choose you. Hey, I'm choosing to press in. Are you choosing to press in?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. We're both choosing. Great. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I think
and keeping short accounts with each other looks like letting people see you consistently all the time. Like I was sharing a story before we got on here of me and a friend, Rory's wife, Mari. We go for coffee every single Thursday morning. no matter what. Every single Thursday morning,
me,
7 a.m.
Me and Rory don't have a weekly. We always talk about this because y'all always get y'all a little weekly.
Yeah, well, you get to do it when you work.
Well, we're working. Like me and Rory, people don't realize when me and Rory are together, like we actually work, even though we're really good brothers, friends. Like we're like, bro, let's get this stuff done.
All
like,
right.
and we work. So when we connect. And I know he's probably listening to this like 100%. So anyways.
But we go for coffee every Thursday. We've been doing it for years. And this past week we had to change it. So we did it on a Tuesday, but we saw each other on the Monday. And so we get to coffee and we're like, we don't really have anything to update each other. Like we just kind of like hung out, talked a little bit, but we're like, we literally don't really have that much to talk about because we just saw each other yesterday.
Yeah.
Like we need a few more days to pass by. So like some drama can build up in our life so that we can actually, that's keeping short accounts.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're texting them what you ate that day. But like me and my mom group, we have had a consistent running text thread for 5 years, like thousands and thousands and thousands and these texts aren't all like kids and funny and babies and memes, and because there are those, but it's like I'm super disconnected in my marriage right now. Like my son went to the hospital and that text thread was my lifeline when my son was in the NICU. And like, but it's because we had a history of keeping short accounts all the time, that there's nothing that goes unchecked. They're not finding out information from me 3 months down the road that they didn't know about. Or like I used to have friends that we would go for lunch every 6 months and we'd have to catch each other up on 6 months worth of stuff. And we called it a friendship.
Right. You can't build that way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times what's happening when you're keeping short accounts is you're actually building history
and trust.
You're building trust and you're building history that the time that we've put into our friendship, we're going to reap years from now. And that's the thing that I think keeping short accounts, not just with the person, but with your thoughts about the person.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of times moments come up and we can have assumptions and thoughts, and before we even go to talk to that person, we need to check ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, man, is that a me thing? And if so, then let me make sure I don't come in with guns blazing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we can cause damage to friendships when we're assuming things before actually having real conversations. Everybody's having these fantasy conversations and you've had a whole dialogue in your head before you've actually confronted a friend.
Mm-hmm. And
you have everything, they're going to respond like this and they're going to respond like this. And I love it. Rory, he loves conflict. He's one of my closest friends, loves conflict. Like actually conflict as in like he loves to get down to, hey, if we're going to connect and there's a roadblock in the way, I am not afraid of the roadblock to get to you. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean by loving conflict. And one of the things that he said is when you have conversations in your head, those fantasy conversations, and you're assuming before you get to the room with that person, and the thing in your mind, you always win.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win-lose in your mind. You win conversation. And so when you approach a conversation with a friend and you're having conflict, because a lot of times people get afraid if conflict comes up or if confrontation comes up, then that can be the end all be all. Well, actually, and I bet you can attest to this from your mom group, those moments of conflict is what made your mom group stronger. Mm-hmm. Those moments of vulnerability where people were honest is what made that diamond more shiny. Like mm-hmm. it's those are the very things that caused you to have the relationships you have. Yeah. And I think the only way you can even get to that point of conflict is you got to rub shoulders with people. Yeah. You got to do life with them. Am I inviting them over to my space? This is
point number 3.
Go ahead.
Is my good friend Hannah, she says it this, doing life up close with people. And I love that picture of doing life up close, because a lot of times we say, yeah, you want to do life with people, but what is life is up close. Like my life up close with my family, with the things that I'm doing, like we're actually eating meals together, going on walks together, traveling together. And so doing life up close with people is inviting them into the space that you would normally reserve. Because the thing I was going to say before is friendships cost. Like they cost time, energy, mental space, money, like all kinds of, like, if you don't want inconvenience, then don't have friends. Like friends,
right.
It's inconvenient
right.
to build trust with somebody. It's inconvenient to build a relationship and to grow in friendship and to get to know one another. Like it's costing you time and energy and your mental space to do it, but it is so unbelievably worth it. But a way to do that is doing life up close with people. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I think you being able to actually see people, you get to know them in those spaces. You get to see what comes up and what comes out, and the beauty of different people being different from you. You know, us going over to our friends' houses or them coming over to ours and seeing how we do different things and being able to share different knowledge of how we're trying to raise our kids, you know, and all of these fun things that we get to share with doing life up close. I love it. I think that that's a great tip. And I think going into an environment where you're looking for friends, knowing that, man, what I'm trying to build with people is something that's real. And that's going to cause me to be more vulnerable. That's going to cause me to be keeping short accounts. That, man, if I have an assumption or a thought or he say, she say, man, I'm keeping away from the drama. Like we don't deal with drama. It's so funny. Like a lot of people talk about friendships, man, there's so much drama. I'm like, those aren't friendships. Those are cliques and people that are comparing in hierarchy and trying to, and it's not a safe place.
Yeah.
But when you're building with people, when you're building community with people, you're building something that has safety, trust, a place where you can find belief, a place where you can be honest without judgment, but be challenged with full love. Like you are creating a space where there are different people bringing themselves to the table and offering things and receiving things, that it is give and take. And there are just possibilities you wouldn't be able to do by yourself.
Yeah.
And so this is the type of people, when we say finding your people, this is what we're talking about building. So if you're like, man, I don't want to build that, then I get it. None of these tips will work.
Yeah.
Like if you're not trying to build lifelong, lasting, fulfilling friendships and relationships with people, these tips, you know, you throw them out the door. But if you're like, man, I want that. I want that. Like these are things that have proven the test of time. And if you can just start small, don't feel like you have to like, all right, who are my people at? Where are my people? All right, you're my person. You're my person. You want to commit to this? Hey, listen to this podcast and then we'll talk. Like don't remove the pressure. It takes time. Some of the stuff is organic. Some of those moments you can't plan. It's not like, all right, we're going to have a friendship meeting on the 15th if everybody can join on a Zoom call. You know, you can't do that. So take the pressure off, breathe a little bit. You are a great friend. It starts with you being a great friend, you being that person that you want to have in your life, and then reproducing that by being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so
if you want real friendships, you got to be real. If you want close friendships, you got to be willing to let people see your stuff. If you want friendships that stand the test of time, you got to be willing to put the work in to build the trust that will stand the test of time.
Yeah, and you'll see as you press into that, you'll see the ones who press in and the ones who leave.
Yeah.
And that's okay. There will be people that leave that they're like, oh, that's not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That is okay. I think you just got to realize that, man, this is what I want. And there are so many other people that also want this that are around me.
Yeah.
And so, that's the 3 tips.
It was kind of shorter.
Yeah. Man, we are long-winded.
We are long-winded though. So
we're going to end it there.
We're going to call it a wrap.
See you next time, or hear you listen to us next time. What? Bye.
Bye.